They dangle 500,000 in front of you and they say it's an 8-song deal. So that 8 becomes 16. If they do co-production, that 16 becomes 32.
I tried to get out of it, but they weren't going to let me go.
Was that done remotely? Were you working with Mustard and LMA remotely, or were you ever in the same space at the same time?
No, it's crazy. The record, we recorded the record right here in my studio. I'm in my studio. Myself and Angel re-recorded it, and maybe halfway or 3/4 through the record, I knew it was something, and I turned around and told Angel, "Hey, Angel, this record is something." So immediately after that, Angel retreated upstairs to, when she stays here, there's a room that she occupies. She retreated upstairs. Thought the record was cool, wasn't tripping about it. It's nothing. And immediately after that, I sent the record to Big John at Sony. So I sent it to Big John, and initially I didn't immediately think LMA. I was just thinking this record is for somebody. I don't know who yet, but it's something to it. So I sent it to Big John with that premise. And Big John literally texted me back in like seconds. And he texted DJ Mustard. Mustard hit him back in seconds. So, and after that, we all got on the conference. So the record, total time to place the record was 7 minutes. Yeah, it was 7 minutes. And I looked at from the time I sent it to the time John replied to the time Mustard replied to the Mustard saying, "Yeah, put that record away. Like, that's Ella." It was 7 minutes. Nobody listened to the totality of the song is like 3 minutes and some change. Nobody listened to the whole song. John listened.
Yeah, they knew. You can tell a hit song within like the first 30 to 60 seconds.
You already know. Verse hook, you're done. So both verse hook, everybody's on board. So yeah, totality, man, 7 minutes to place that record. So, wow. And that's pretty much all it took. When you have one, it doesn't take long, man.
So when did you start putting beats online? Because you're someone with hit records. A lot of industry producers are hesitant to go that route.
I was hesitant at first, but this is during the early days of IG. So during that time, because and I'm sure you're the same way. Our good ideas, we didn't want anybody to hear them because for fear that somebody would take it, run with it, beat us to the punch, get it out. So I took that same approach into the early stages of IG, Twitter, IG. So I didn't start doing it until maybe around 2000, I would say around 14, 15. And maybe later, maybe 2016, close to that. Was when I actually.
That's earlier than me. I think I started in 2017. So you were already ahead of me. But so you were hesitant. But what I noticed, did you get pushback from the industry producers that your peers who said, "Okay, you're just kind of cheapening your product, and you're not going to get any more placements from now," which is obviously not true. But did you hear that narrative being pushed onto you?
It was a few, not as much as I thought would, not as much because it was other. There were other producers that were kind of already leaning towards that. So I think you say 17 for you, so the climate was already moving towards it, and I would say guys like us that kind of held off as long as we could, during that time right there, 16, 17, the producer climate was for the older guys. The producer climate had started changing, and we were moving on into it slowly by surely. So the pushback wasn't from a place of you're gonna cut you're gonna cut your own throat doing that. It was more of a just skepticism, just I don't know, man. I want to do it, but I'm nervous. It seemed like it was coming from that place more than yeah, man. You cutting your own throat by doing that. And now, it's everywhere now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think I saw a whole lot of pushback. Might have been one or two that was like, man, no, man, you're killing yourself.
I think it's all fear-based. No matter what they say, whether they say you're doing us a disservice, you're devaluing production, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It's all fear-based. What they're saying is, I'm nervous that that's going to affect me.
Right.
But a lot of producers are already stressed out because the business being what it is.
Yeah.
It's hard to stay present and maintain your relevance.
Right.
As a go-to guy. And so when you see all these kids on the internet, you're like, damn, now I got to compete with them. So that's scary, as because I was one of the guys that was digging my heels in the dirt, talking about this is going to destroy the wow, $24.99 beat. I'm supposed to be getting $10K per beat. So it was more like self-consciously, even though I wouldn't say it consciously, on a subconscious level, I was afraid that was going to affect me, and that and I'm listening to these beats. I'm like, wow, these guys are better than me. So now I got competition that's selling lower. So it was a fear thing. But back to the industry. So let's talk about Wasted, because we alluded to it. Half an hour ago when we were talking about Wayne remixing it. How did that record happen?
That record, man, it was just a random day in the studio. Gucci walks in and he just has an idea. He said, what do you think about a song called Wasted? There was nothing else but that. That was it. What do you think about a song called Wasted? And immediately I went into into producer mode. I'm like, Wasted. That's it's like a white suburban word. I think if we do it right, I give it the right sound bid, that word will, because nobody's saying wasted in white suburbia anymore right now. And we don't say it in the hood. So I think if we do it right, it'll come in the hood will start picking that word up. But not only that, it'll bounce out, because hip hop culture is pop culture. So it'll bounce out of the hood back in the white suburbia, and white suburbia pick that word back up, and it'll explode. Hence, when I was watching the Adam Sandler movie Grown Ups, they had a whole scene where they were talking about chocolate wasted and different types of ice cream wasted. Was when I knew, like, yep, that record, it did exactly what I thought it would do. But that's pretty much how it started, man. It was just an idea that Gucci had, and we started. Gucci and I would write records at the same time. I would be making the beat, and he would be writing at the same time. So I just went through. It's actually a sound that I used in a few records. So it was my go-to sound at the time. And the first thing that came out was that melody. The chord progression for Wasted. It was the first thing I played. So Gucci started doing that hook, and after I heard the hook, it really started flowing to me then. So I made the beat in like 10-15 minutes. By the time I was done, Gucci had the hook and his first verse written. So we recorded it. I sent the 2-track up to my engineer. He recorded it. It was already starting to sound really good. Wasn't special yet, but it was really good. And we knew we wanted to put somebody on the record. The first person that did the feature was Twista. Twista was actually the first feature on the record. So there is a Twista verse out there for Wasted. But Plies, man, Plies was him at the time.
I was just gonna ask you how you felt when you heard the Plies verse, because everyone loses their mind.
It's the Plies verse. The Plies verse was what made it special. And my manager, Big Ron, said, let's call Plies. Put Plies on to see what Plies can do. Because the Twister verse was dope. It was dope in a Twister way. But for that particular record, Twister was, the speed verse wasn't for that record. So my manager,
He's on the remix though, right? Him, OJ the Juice Man, and
the Twister verse isn't. Nobody's ever heard the Twister verse except us.
oh, it's not okay. So that I'm listening to a bootleg then.
You heard the Twister verse?
It's on YouTube.
Is it? Man,
I don't know if it. I don't know if it's official. I don't know if it's official. I'll send it. I'll send you the link.
Yeah, send it.
I don't know.
I think well maybe Twister leaked it then. Because I've never heard the Twister verse out there. So I'm sure if the Twister verse of that is the verse that he actually did for the song.
Yeah, I'm looking at the it says Gucci Man Wasted remix featuring Lil Wayne, Twista, and OJ the Juice Man, and then the little description says took off Plies because he's whack. So I automatically don't like this person because they're out of their minds.
Well, that
Plies
would have to be the Twister verse then. It would have to be the actual Twister verse. Because Twista was the first he was the first artist to do the feature. But when
Clyde is one of the most underrated rappers on the planet. But then I also feel like modern days, the generation after him, not that he doesn't transcend generation, because he does, because there's really only one Twista, but I put Plies up there. Plies is underrated.
Plies is very underrated, man. And at the time, like I don't think the new generation understands that Plies was him during that time. He was him during that time. Gucci at that time was still ascending. Jeezy was Jeezy. But
I know where we're going with this with the "Lose My Mind" verse.
you know what I'm saying? So the "Lose My Mind" verse, man, oh my God, you know what I mean? So Plies was still him at the time. It was only Gucci and Jeezy that dropped him down a peg, because their impact was just so, it was a movement. But man, when Plies turned his verse in, Plies heard it. We sent it to Plies. Plies heard it, immediately called back and said, man, this record is out of here. Did his verse, sent it back in 10, 15 minutes. And the only change that I made was he actually started the verse, walked in the club, pocket full of big faces, and the "I don't wear tight jeans like the white boys" was at the end. I took that, made it first, and moved the "walked in the club, pocket full of big faces" to the back. And once that was done, I just dropped the beat out to go with his with the way the white boy part started. Boom, I don't wear tight jeans like the white boys. Boom, but I do. And that was it. The only thing Gucci had to do was fill in the blank for the third verse. And it was, we didn't need to send the record to anybody else. Plies killed it. He won. Over Twista, he won. But, and that's not saying Twista verse was bad. Twista killed it too. But Plies just killed it. He delivered. He brought it home. He owned it.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a bad Twista verse.
Oh no,
But
it's not. It's not.
okay, so Wasted is a hit song, and I'm not just saying that because I like the record. It's undeniably, objectively, by every metric, it's a hit. I know you've referenced your admin deal with Sony. Did you ever sign a publishing, like a traditional co-pub deal, or was it always admin?
I was in pub then.
Okay, and how did you feel about that? Because I think there's a reason a lot of producers who get out of a co-pub deal jump into an admin deal following that. Did it feel restrictive? Did you have complaints about it, and that's why you went to an admin?
The restrictive part of it was the oh man, I can't think of the initials right now.
MDRC.
The MDRC was the restrictive part of it. And you know, because I did my initial publishing co-pub in 2008. So in 2008, the money for co-pubs then was excellent up front at that time. So of course, you know, going into that a co-pub, you know, that much money up front, and you're going to jump at that. But once you get into it, but at the same time, I'm not. It didn't get restrictive to me because not yet. Because the first couple of years, I was just burning through the terms because Gucci was, you know, and what happened? The labels started monetizing mixtapes. So once the labels, because Gucci would put a mixtape out every other week. So the labels, they looked at that as losing money. So when they started monetizing and releasing, distributing mixtapes under their imprints, which they're, you know, it wasn't my full producer rate, but they were giving us a rate for you know, all the mixtape records because the labels or Warner at the time was releasing all those mixtapes. It counted on my MDRC every single. So I was burning through my terms. Zoop, 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 zoop. The album hadn't even come out yet. The State versus Radrick Davis actually came out, I think, third or fourth quarter. Might have been fourth quarter. The album actually dropped because Wasted, I leaked. Wasted was a leak. I leaked Wasted, and that put the pressure on Warner to get the album done, kick open the budget and all that. But leading up to that point, Gucci did like a trilogy of mixtapes. It was a 3-parter. And man, I mean, I burned through my first term and part of the second term just in that trilogy. So it didn't start becoming a nuisance to me until streaming started coming through and the game started changing. Because the MDRC was no longer working with the way streaming was set up. And when things started changing, because I still had records coming, you know, records were still coming out. It was just coming out independently, streaming, and
they weren't approving them. Yeah,
they weren't. So they weren't approving the records that were coming out, still making money with me. But at the same time, I'm still stuck in this co-pub because I can't meet the qualifications of the MDRC. So I'm 1.5 record out of getting out of the second term. So I'm just in this second term. Not the Monica record didn't even count on the MDRC, and it was released with Jive, but it was the 13th record on that album.
Okay. Damn.
So you see the bullshit? So the Monica record didn't count. If it was number 12, it counts. It's number 13. It didn't count. And that time, labels were only paying for 12 records on the album. So that record was considered a bonus on that album. So because it had the title of bonus, it fit in the paperwork, in my Copub paperwork. Bonuses didn't count. So
Wow.
So, and as streaming slowly took over as the main medium of released music, I'm just stuck in this Copub, and it's not making sense to me because nothing that's coming. I got these records coming out, but nothing is counting. Nothing is counting, including the record that came out on Jive. It didn't count. So I'm in this dinosaur deal. At this time, my Copub was literally a dinosaur deal. It was straight dinosaur deal. So finally, it was able to get reworked. I forget the placement that got it reworked, but once it got reworked, they did away with the MDRC, got me updated to current terms of publishing deals, Copub, admin, and everything. So the upside of the Copub was the money that I received up front. The downside of the Copub is one, a two-parter. One, it's a Copub, so everything is 50-50. And the MDRC because it's a Copub. So, and my deal was good in the beginning, which I had to deliver 4 records in the calendar year, which at that time,
Yeah, that's nothing when you got placements coming through the pipeline all the time.
placements coming through the pipeline all the time. And during that time, we were the only producers on the record. So it's automatically 50% of the record, unless we used the sample, which we didn't use samples as much during that time. So yeah, it's like, so the 4 records equated to 8 records, but that was even good compared to the deal that Mike Karen wanted to give me. Mike Karen, I would have had to turn in 16 records with Mike Karen.
Oh, it was an 8 deal MDRC.
Yeah, with Mike Karen.
And the crazy thing, it was Illmind who broke this down to me. So a lot of people, they got a lot of producers during that era. A lot of producers. I'm sure you know of a bunch that got by it because it was like, yeah, they dangle $500,000 in front of you and they say it's an 8-song deal. Yeah, you're gonna take it. Hell yeah, 8 songs is nothing, but they don't realize 8 songs is 100%, and by default, the producer, the most they get is 50, so that 8 becomes 16. If they do co-production, that 16 becomes 32. If they sample, that 32 might become 50. So they're locked.
It's a lot of records you have to turn in because like you said, in the Copub, we have to deliver 100% of a record. We have to deliver 100%, and since we're half of the record, we're only delivering 50% of a record each time we deliver. So we basically have to turn in 2 for 1. So,
and then, as you said, they have the final say. So you could have
right, exactly
16 records at 50%, and they're like, yeah, we're only gonna allow half of these because the other ones are bonus tracks, or this is on an imprint, or this one was released too late in the calendar year. There are all kinds of tricks they'll use.
All kind of tricks, which is why I said the Monica, when you bought the Monica record, is so much significance with that record because how it was created all the way back to it did not count on my MDRC. It's that record significant. And I would say that Monica record was the midway point in my, the second term of, it was the record that would have taken me out of the second term.
So they exercised an option then. Yeah, so you got another event.
So I tried to get out of it, but they weren't going to let me go because they're still making money with me. So they're not letting me out of my Copub.
But they converted it to an admin deal?
Well, once I finally got it to that point, I was able to move. I was able to move forward once the MDRC was removed, and I got to the terms of current market. So after that, things started moving as they were supposed to, and then once I completed everything, then renegotiation became the admin.
Okay, so honest, that's actually I think a positive ending. So shout out to Sony for doing that and being open to that, because you hear horror stories about people that just can't get out, and there's no
Oh man,
pathway to renegotiation.
there are people that did their co-pub the same year in my rookie class, and that came a year or two before me that are still in the same deal. The same deal.
Yeah, I've heard horror stories, and it's just because they don't explain it, and that's just kind of the lay of the land. I mean, ethically speaking, everyone was signing deals like that at the time, but on the one hand, ethics and morals aren't the same. On the other hand, no one could have anticipated how streaming would change the music business, but ultimately it hurt a lot of songwriters and producers.
It did.
So